Outside, welcome inside cozy Allstate Arena. Tonight, it's the Creighton Bluejays riding a 7-game winning streak and the DePaul Blue Demons. So glad to have you along for the ride. Should be a fun evening alongside my partner Jim Jackson. I am Eric Collins. For the next couple of hours, we get a chance to see the leading candidate for the National Player of the Year award in Doug McDermott.
And Eric, like most dynamic scorers, he can beat you in a number of different ways. It's not just one dimensional. Whether he gets out in transition and it's a trailing big to spot up and knock down an open three, but also in half court. He's not a standing target. He's moving, he's using screen, utilizing his offense to get high percentage shots. And more importantly, I think an underestimated part of his game is in the post. Right now, assessing the defense, knowing exactly when to move. 1, 2, 3 crab dribbles in the middle. Now you got a shot. This guy can beat you in a number of different ways. A tough task for the Demon Deacons tonight.
Already this year, 4 times McDermott has been the Big East Player of the Week. He is 40th all-time in the history of college basketball in scoring. A couple of big-time scores on display. McDermott for Creighton and Cleveland Melvin for DePaul. We'll tip it off in a moment.
Life is full of whys. Why did she dump me? Why should we move? Why isn't anyone laughing at my jokes? It helps to have a friend who can explain things to you. Because your haircut is horrible? Because the neighbors are freaks? Because you always honk that horn after the punchline? Taxes are full of whys too. And TurboTax is that friend who explains things. Why did my refund just go up? Because you deducted those clown shoes you bought for work. Intuit TurboTax. It's amazing what you're capable of.
Welcome back, everyone. Getting ready to tip this one off. Both teams at center court, the starting lineups. There are your 5 for both sides. Austin Chapman, Manigat, Gibbs, Raggi, and McDermott, a veteran bunch for Creighton, and DePaul switching things up. Cleveland Melvin and Brandon Young, as per usual, with Sandy Marchuch and Billy Garrett Jr. But getting a start for the first time in a couple of weeks, Charles McKinney, the junior from Evanston, Illinois. All right, DePaul won the tap. They've got the ball. Homestanding team wearing all white. This is Brandon Young over to McKinney. Brandon Young did not score a point in Saturday's loss against Marquette. He went 0 for 9 from the field. Shot clock down to 7. This is Young. Melvin top of the key. And he hits the triple. Good start for the Blue Demons.
Well, it was good defense initially by Creighton. And what they want to do is keep DePaul in front of them, not allow them to get to the middle. So at the end of the play, Melvin able to knock down a long-range jump shot. Good offense and patience that time by DePaul.
Here's Creighton, 12-2 on the year. They try and get it inside to McDermott, but the pass is knocked away. Just a minute into this one, both sides have had the ball one time. Veteran matchup right there. 2 seniors that have combined for over 4,000 points guarding each other. Cleveland Melvin for DePaul and Doug McDermott for Creighton.
Yeah, very good matchup. Neither can afford to pick up any cheap fouls when they're guarding each other.
McKinney has the ball stripped away. Shot clock down to 3. And before the shot, we've got a 3-second violation on Cleveland Melvin. He thought that the ball was already in the air. There's Greg McDermott. Historic game for him, coaching his 600th game as a college head coach, his 125th game with the Creighton Bluejays.
Eric, before the game, it was interesting speaking with Coach Purnell and asking him what strategy for the game. He said, listen, McDermott is a really good player, and you see the foul inside on Melvin, the cheap foul. You don't want to pick up those kind of fouls early because you're going to need that body, that size when you're guarding McDermott as the game wears on. So you can't afford those cheap fouls. But talking to Purnell said, listen, the guy can play. And he'll probably get his numbers, but we need to contain the other players that they don't beat up. That gives us a chance to win this game.
6th-year senior Grant Gibbs trying to get it inside to McDermott and almost a turnover. Here's McDermott's first shot. It's short. Sandy Marchuch the rebound. This is the first time these two schools have met as members of the Big East. Of course, Creighton coming over from the Missouri Valley Conference. a conference that they won a year ago. Here's Oliver Purnell, veteran coach, has been around, won a lot of games, now in his 4th season here at DePaul. Brandon Young gets inside, has the ball poked away. I got to say, it last went off of Brandon Young, so it's Creighton basketball.
And Eric, that's a prime example right there when you talk about Creighton defense. They don't have like one-on-one stoppers, but what they do as a team defensively, they're in the proper position. So when the drive is attempted, there's going to be a body that's placed there to kind of take that open lane away, and it was a prime example on that play there.
And a travel called on Doug McDermott. Inauspicious start for the reigning National Player of the Week. And of course, the coach's son, Greg McDermott, doesn't believe that that was an appropriate call. We have had 6 total trips down the floor combined. And we have seen 4 turnovers in those 6 trips.
You see the quick double team when Melvin touches the ball in the post, trying to get it out of his hands early.
Hey, there's a good sign for DePaul. Brandon Young hits a shot after going 0 for 9 against Marquette. Gibbs over to Managa. Chapman quick with the dribble, working against the big man Mark Juch.
Yeah, but it was good Young. It was good help by Young, taking away that driving lane.
Gibbs hit on the wrist. He'll go to the free throw line, I believe. Am I going to say he was in the act of shooting? Yeah, they're going to send Gibbs to the free throw line, where he is a 65% free thrower. One of the oldest players in Division I basketball, Grant Gibbs, now in his 6th season as a college player. He's 24 years old. He is older than James Harden of the Houston Rockets.
A little different talent base, a little different. I mean, one could, leave school a little bit early and play at the big boy level, but I understand what you're saying. I get the point.
And James Harden's been a player in the NBA for a long time.
So that means Gibbs has been playing at the college level for quite some time.
Charles McKinney has not hit a three-pointer so far this year. That one almost went down. Paul's got the lead of 3. This guy is a sniper. Ethan Rogge comes up empty, but an offensive rebound for the Blue Jays.
And that's where Creighton can get you. That transition trailing 3, as you see Rogge again, he's not bashful, okay? Did you see where he caught and shot it at? Okay, and keep in mind, he's leading the team with as far as three-pointers. You always talk about Doug McDermott, but Rogge is the guy, too, that complements and opens a lot of things for Doug to be as effective as he is.
Little floater in the lane, missed by Melvin. Offensive rebound and the stick back.
And that's where Melvin can have the advantage on McDermott, I think, inside because of his size and athletic ability.
Inside, pretty move. Austin Chapman with the finger roll. All of DePaul's points being scored by their seniors, Melvin and Young. Both have scored over 1,500 points in their college careers.
And what's interesting about both teams, their prime post-up players are McDermott and Melvin.
Score the basket and the foul. Brandon Young, a chance for the three-point play. Oh, to be Young. Brandon Young gets inside, hangs long enough to get the foul. He'll have a chance for a three-point play when we come back. Welcome back to Fox College Hoops presentation of Big East basketball, brought to you by the New York Life Insurance Company. With Jim Jackson, I'm Eric Collins. Good start offensively for DePaul. It's been all Cleveland Melvin, and most recently Brandon Young.
And here's the thing about this Creighton defense. I talked about it earlier. They're a pretty good defensive team when they're stationary, okay? So they take away the driving lanes. But right here by the pick and roll by Brandon Young being patient, you move the defense a little bit more. Now those gaps are available to drive. Again, when Creighton's stationary, it's tougher to drive again. But if you can get them on the move, that's when I think DePaul can exploit their quickness and kind of get into the lane.
Melvin, left hand of your screen, 6th all-time at DePaul in scoring. Brandon Young at the free throw line, 9th all-time. Young completes the three-point play. And the lead is now 3 for the DePaul Blue Demons. Both Young and Melvin with 5 points to begin this game. And Doug McDermott, oh, by the way, has only taken 1 shot in the game's first 5 minutes. Tommy Hamilton, the fourth, is checked in for the first time for DePaul. He wears number 2. Grant Gibbs goes right at him and scores on top of him.
Well, that was just poor footwork that time by Hamilton. He allowed Gibbs to get right to the middle. You want to force to the baseline a little bit, use the baseline as a secondary defender. That time, it was an easy waltz into the lane for Gibbs.
Poked away, picked up by McDermott ahead of the pack. Oh, and a good bit of handwork there by Brandon Young. Knocks it away from McDermott, and it goes off McDermott's knee.
And that's what you want to see, because Brandon Young turned the ball over, but he didn't give up. He didn't quit. He continued to pursue the play. Excellent defense that time by negating the easy basket, but also enough to get the ball to go out of bounds on McDermott.
Darrell McDonald into the game for the first time. He's number 25 for DePaul. Melvin, jumper is short. Creighton still their starting 5, but DePaul substituting liberally. Maniga has the ball knocked away. Here's McDonald, over to McKinney.
Excellent defense, Eric, by DePaul by not letting Doug McDermott get set and have space. Anytime he gets the ball in the post, you see another guy coming over. Actually, that forces and constricts the court a little bit more.
Rocky misses from straight on. DePaul looking for their first conference win. They're 0-2 after losses. First against Georgetown and then at Marquette, but for Oliver Purnell, this is the first Big East home game. Creighton Bluejays, they're 2-0. They beat Marquette and Seton Hall. Charles McKinney goes to the bench. Checking in for the first time, Greg Sakile. Going to the bench for Creighton is Chapman. He's replaced by Will Artino.
And why is this game important for DePaul? One, you're playing against a top-tier team, okay, that has an All-American. This is a kind of a statement game. You don't want to be close. You want to win this type of game at home.
Good catch inside of a pass that was steaming right at Will Artino. He turns around and makes the shot and cuts the lead for DePaul down to 1. Kicked out of bounds by Gibbs.
Again, inside. Excellent post position. The arm is up to the baseline side. The pass is on time, on target, and on time for an easy layup inside. And for DePaul, if you think about it, the key with them is, can you maintain your pace and pull? You know, when things start to get out of hand a little bit, this Creighton team is not going anywhere. So you have to be patient for 40 minutes if you want to beat this team.
Sakile going for the offensive rebound. He is grabbed. Good work on the offensive glass. The foul on Raggi. And that's number 2 on Raggi. That's a big deal. Raggi leading the Big East in both three-pointers made and three-point percentage. Gonna have to go to the bench for a while. Young, McDonald, Hamilton, Sakile, and Garrett, the 5 on the floor for DePaul. It's McDonald who misses but puts it right back in.
Just a little pump fake, head fake, allowed his defender to get in the air. McDonald was able to creep down the lane.
Loose ball picked up by Garrett, running the other way, and this time misses the layup with the left hand. That's 2 shots that Garrett normally makes that he's missed the last 2 times down the floor. Wide open Artino, his second layup.
Head to the basket, right down the middle of the lane. McDermott knew exactly where Artino was going to be upon the touch and the double team.
Hamilton, the trailer on the break, settles for the 3 and hits it. This is a guy 6'10", 284.
But that's the kind of talent that this young man has. It's just a matter of him, according to the coaching staff, just being more consistent in his effort and in his play.
Again inside, Artino this time misses the layup, and he's fouled, grabbing the offensive rebound. Artino very active since coming off the Blue Jay bench. Moments ago, Tommy Hamilton showing you what he's all about. The freshman's got some skill. DePaul up by 4. Here's tonight's New York Life keep good going stat, and it's all about the 3-ball. Creighton among the leaders in the country in 3-point accuracy and 3-point productivity. This is a team that likes to fire it up there. They average over 11 threes made per game, and they shoot it at a 42% clip.
And what you don't see, though, is you focus in on makes, but one, they're a very good passing basketball team. 18 assists compared to 8 turnovers. So that's important. But also, they maintain proper spacing. As you saw in those highlights, the court was spread. So guys can drive to the basket as soon as you collapse. They make the proper pass out to their shooters where they can catch it in rhythm and able to knock it down.
Avery Dingman into the game for the first time for Creighton. He's number 22. DePaul's got the lead in the ball, up by 3, looking for their first conference win. Sandy Marchuch looking for position inside. Brandon Young has his pocket pick. Good defense there by Managa. And again, foiling a one-on-one in the open court. Brandon Young able to knock the ball away and get possession to DePaul.
Another thing Coach Purnell and I talked about, Brandon Young, he had the shot. He had the drive, but he pulled it back and was a little cute with the basketball and got it stripped. Now, he made up for it on the opposite end of the court, but what we talked about, don't make the game as difficult as it needs to be.
Garrett still a work in progress with that jump shot, but DePaul gets it back. Young working against Dingman. And he throws it away. Got caught in no man's land. Brooks spins, misses the shot, tapped up and in by Artino. He's got the last 7 points for Creighton.
And you don't think about Creighton being a transition team, but they're opportunistic when they have the opportunities. And as you see, they will get out and run, and more importantly, they can convert once they get in transition.
How about this for a number? Artino averages 5 points per game. He's already got 7. While Doug McDermott averages 24 points per game. He hasn't scored in the first 9 minutes.
Well, you know, the defense is going to be geared towards making the other players for Creighton consistently beat them. They want to get the ball out of the hands of Doug McDermott, okay? So if Artino can beat you with 30 points tonight, then you pat him on the back.
Heck of a move there by Charles McKinney. Got inside and finished with authority. Here's McDermott way out on the wing. McKinney forces him to pick up the dribble and pass the ball around the perimeter. We've got a kickball. The shot clock does not reset. It's at 19 seconds.
Well, look where Doug had to catch the ball. 1-2 dribbles, now the double team can come. Okay, if he's deeper, maybe a foot or 2 inside of that, now he gets to the basket. So it's very important that you push him out of his comfort zone. That allows the double team to come.
Step back shot, rattles in and out. McDermott still scoreless. McDonald weaves his way inside and loses the ball out of bounds. Chapman coming back in for Creighton. He replaces Brooks. DePaul has already turned it over 7 times in the first quarter of this game. 10 minutes into this one. Blue Demons on top of the Blue Jays by 3.
And that's been a nemesis for this DePaul team. Your averaging, as you see, an open jump shot. This team has averaged more turnovers, 14, than assists at 12. So that means you don't give yourself a chance to get shots at the rim when you turn it over more than you're making passes to your teammates in order to score.
Chapman quickly down the end of the floor. Throws it up off the window too hard. Ball still loose, and it's going to be Creighton ball. Jump shot up and in for Dingman. And we're tied at 19.
And because Chapman was able to get deep penetration DePaul's defense, everybody was below the foul line. So now on an offensive rebound, there's no one to match up on the perimeter. As a result, you have an open three.
Cleveland Melvin, been quiet for a while, misses inside. Marchuk's the rebound. Melvin bumped. He'll go to the free throw line. Foul on Doug McDermott, his first. Cleveland Melvin, senior from Baltimore. He has gone over the 1,700 career point mark in today's game. He had been struggling. So kind of a comeback game for him in Saturday's loss up in Milwaukee against Marquette.
And coming into this game, he understands what it means. He's playing against a National Player of the Year candidate, probably a 3-time consensus All-American, so he wants to play well. And the thing that you have to do not only for himself, but for the Blue Demons is that you control your emotions. You can't let it get out the way one way or another, whether you're up, whether you get down. You have to continue to stay consistent because that will allow you to stay in this game emotionally.
Pressure in the backcourt broken easily. Here's Isaiah Zierden over to Digman. Can't make it 2 in a row, but an offensive rebound put up and in by Zach Hansen, the freshman from South Dakota, in the scoring column to tie it at 21. Second chance points, all Creighton. 11 second chance points already for the Blue Jays, just 4 for DePaul. And a blocking foul called on Dingman.
Well, especially in transition, you got to match up. You have to communicate. You have to find the body. That's why it's such a threat to shoot in transition from the 3 because guys are not matched up. And now Hansen was able to take advantage of no one putting a body on him to get an offensive rebound and another putback for Creighton.
Grant Gibbs back on the floor, replacing Dingman. 8:30 to play first half. McKinney dumps it down to Marchuk, who's able to save it.
McKinney would have been better served putting that ball at the rim and let Sandy Marchuk try to get the offensive rebound.
Young. Loose on the floor. And it's Creighton basketball. These two teams will play twice this year. DePaul will head out to Omaha and take on Creighton February 7th. Blue Jays haven't led. We're tied at 21 apiece. Creighton's got the ball. Pass too strong, and it's a turnover. Young pushes it down the floor to Juan Marrero. The lefty reverse.
That was an excellent recovery on the backside by Marchuk.
Hansen is fouled. Pretty little athletic play there. Marrero got inside, hung in time, and scores with the left hand. Back in a moment. Tomorrow, Big East basketball presented by New York Life Insurance Company returns when Georgetown takes on Providence. The Hoyas looking to remain undefeated in conference play. Coverage begins tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern time, right here on Fox Sports 1. Now the reconfigured Big East. Love the fact we're in conference play. Some classic schools doing work here in January and February with Jim Jackson. I'm Eric Collins. Jim, I want to ask you, you were a marked man when you were playing your basketball at Ohio State. People knew that you were going to get yours, and you had to stop you if you wanted to stop the Buckeyes. What's going on through the years of Doug McDermott right now? He averages 24 points per game. He hasn't scored in the first 12-plus minutes.
But he's fine because he's a seasoned veteran, so to speak, okay? He's not going to force the action. He's going to allow the offense to work. He's going to loosen up, and he's going to pick and choose his spot, knowing that he's getting double-teamed, but he's still going to make the right play. And that's the difference when you have a veteran leader and a player that you know you're going to get your shots, so you don't have to press the situation.
Ball stays with Creighton. Shot clock resets. Doug McDermott has not sat out a moment so far in today's game. Every other starter has went to the bench. McDermott, he's been out there, and he's only attempted 3 shots.
Well, keep in mind, too, this Creighton offense is not built for one-on-one activity. It's a ball movement, passing, body movement. You work the offense, you work the defense, you move it around, and then you take your shot. So that's why you're not going to really see a Doug McDermott try to force things when he's not going early.
Gibbs over to McDermott. That's maybe his best look he's had all day.
Well, patient. That time they knew exactly what they wanted to run out of bounds. He was patient enough to allow the screen to be set, popped out, pass on time, on target once again, able to knock down a shot. Patience.
And with that shot by McDermott, Creighton leading for the first time this evening. Young inside off the wrong foot. Throws it in with a feathery touch.
An awful ball reversal, that's when you can drop. And that's where the success has been for DePaul by not allowing the ball to stay on one side of the court.
McDermott, his pass simply sails out of bounds. The call, oh, they're going to change the call and say it was tipped. It'll stay with Creighton.
You see Doug McDermott right there with the patience I talked about, allowing the screen to be set, catch, shoot, feet squared, shoulder squared, knock it down.
The original call on the floor was that the ball was simply thrown out of bounds, and it's since been reversed, and Albert Purnell is not happy. The 3 officials getting together, and they determined that it's Creighton basketball. You make the call. I think Marchutz did touch it.
Yeah. The second correction was the right one. But the call, I think the third official may have been out of position to really see the ball change course after the tip by Marchutz.
So that's now the 3rd turnover for McDermott. 3 points, 3 turnovers for the senior.
But we'll give an asterisk on that turnover right there, knowing what we saw on the replay.
Cleveland Melvin hits the 3 off the assist from his buddy, Brandon Young. 10 points already for Melvin. Hansen left alone for a reason. Misses the jumper. Garrett. Creighton's won 7 straight, dating back to last year. They've won 4 straight road games. This is a veteran team that knows how to win in hostile environments. McDermott with the miss. Garrett, Melvin, Marrero, Young, Marchutz, the 5 on the floor for DePaul. Shot clock down to 10.
Little pick and roll action on the side to see if Young can get in the lane.
He does, absorbed a bump. Can't hit the left-handed shot up the window. And we've got a foul called on Marrero, as hitting the deck hard is Grant Gibbs.
And you love the hustle by Marrero. That time a little too aggressive, committing the foul inside. But this is one of the areas where Creighton wanted to get bodies on bodies. It not allowed DePaul to use their athleticism to kind of get those second shots, those 50-50 balls.
Grant Gibbs has a history of injury. He's had 2 different medical redshirt years. Was actually granted a 6th year of eligibility. So this is kind of playing with the house's money, getting a chance to play another year of college basketball on a really good team. And now he's down in pain on that baseline.
And you hope for this young man's sake that it's one of those springs a little bit scarier than what it may be, hopefully. Because when you go through multiple injuries, as soon as you feel something happens, it's almost like, well, come on, not again. You know, not again. But he doesn't look too good right there as far as the pain on his face. Let's see if he can put any pressure on that right leg, and it doesn't look like it. See that inside leg right there, how it's bent? And we'll be able to see it maybe if we get a replay. It looks like Marrero's leg gets caught on the inside of his right foot, and now his knee bends inside. So it was an awkward angle going down. Think about it, you got a lot of weight coming down as well, so you're bending opposite in the direction in which your knee is going.
When we get any information on Grant Gibbs, we will pass it along. Hopefully it's good news. One of the most important players on this year's Creighton team, no doubt about that. So play continues. 5 minutes remaining in our first half. Devin Brooks in the backcourt replacing Gibbs. He's working back there with Austin Chapman. Here's McDermott. Shot up and in, Jahan's Madigan.
And this is what makes Doug McDermott really good. Patient, pump fake. He didn't force the shot. He found Madigan on the side for an open jump shot, where you could have forced it because you're not scoring well. But again, maintaining and staying within the confines of the offense. That's why this Creighton team is so difficult to guard. You have multiple players that can shoot the basketball from the perimeter and are unselfish. Again, okay, pump fake. He could have one dribble and pulled up for a contested shot, but no. What he wanted to do was find a better high percentage shot for his teammate.
Santi Marchuch now with his first personal foul. Brooks inside, couple extra passes along the perimeter, and Chapman rips the triple. Creighton back on top again by a pair. Edwin McGee into the game for DePaul, number 4 in white. DePaul going deep into this bench. They played 11 men here in this first half. Here's McGee. And Oliver Purnell wants to call a timeout. A couple of empty possessions last time, a couple of times down the floor, and they want to talk about this before they play the final 12 seconds on the shot clock. Three-pointers have been good recently for Creighton. They have regained the lead by 2. Welcome back, everyone. Allstate Arena here in Rosemont, Illinois. That's a tough sight to see. One of the better players in the country being helped into the locker room. Grant Gibbs hit the floor awkwardly a moment ago, and he is out for a foreseeable future. Trying to set up the alley-oop to McKinney. Doesn't work for DePaul. Brooks loses the handle. DePaul wants to run. Brandon Young draws the foul. He'll go to the free throw line. Tough night already here in Chicago for the Creighton Bluejays. They've got a slim 2-point lead on DePaul.
Rob Stone here. Coming up at halftime, Austin Crozier and I will serve up the sights from 2 top 10 matchups, Ohio State, Michigan, and Baylor at Iowa State. Plus, which Big East team needs their first conference win most this week? Now back out to Baldy Rosemont and Eric and Jim.
Rob, thank you so much. It is chilly here in Chicago. Yesterday's low was -15. Today we had a low of -11. And it's been a cold shooting start. One of the best offensive players the college game has ever seen. Doug McDermott has made just 1 shot from the field in the first 16.5 minutes. He's got just 3 points.
But Eric, let's not take any of the credit away from this DePaul defense, because upon the touch, one, they're pushing Doug out a little bit further on the court, which now allows not so much a double team at times, but somebody to dig and kind of clog up his open space area a little bit more. So a lot of the credit has to go towards the game plan of what DePaul really wants to accomplish here.
McDermott working on the freshman Garrett, and he hits the deck. Now a touch.
Look at the attention that he's attracting right now.
Off-balance shot missed, but a tap up and in by Artino. He's been the story of the first half for the Creighton Blue Jays offensively. He's tops with 7 points.
And that's another second chance point. Now, what you can't do is get locked into watching Doug McDermott where you lose sight of your man. And that's what happened that time when you allow a shot to go up. And Artino to sneak in and get another putback.
Melvin misses. 2.5 to play first half. Creighton the lead in the ball, up by 3. Quick move, McDermott can't spin it up and in. Finally cleared by the transfer from Purdue, Sandy Marchuch. Garrett now 0 for 4 shooting 3-pointers here in our first half. DePaul as a team has gone ice cold. They haven't made a field goal in 4 minutes and 11 seconds of game time.
And that was a good shot. I mean, he was open, he caught it in rhythm, but now, okay, you haven't made a shot. Get back to what you were doing well, which was moving the defense, and now you dribble, penetrate, you get inside the lane. If you don't score, you got opportunity for offensive rebound. And I'm going to say something about Doug McDermott here, too. A lot of questions were going into how would he react going into the Big East in regard to the bigger, more physical type of players, athletes, when he's maybe not as athletic. So you see some of that having an effect. Some of these shots he normally would make inside, he's having a little bit more difficulty getting these clean looks, in particular inside with some of the more athletic players that are guarding him.
Had a whale of a game against Seton Hall on Saturday. One negative for him against Seton Hall. He had his streak of 45 consecutive free throws snapped. He still shoots it at a 90% clip, just made a pair a moment ago. This is now a 10-1 run for the Blue Jays.
Very important that as well as DePaul has played in this first half, you find yourself down by 5. You have to kind of get this lead and momentum back going into halftime.
Peter Rickbosh into the game. Young. That's a big shot for the senior, trying to get DePaul's confidence back.
Yeah, big time shot. Now you got to get a stop. Get a stop, get yourself in position where you're patient again, get the kind of shot you want, and either go ahead or tie this lead.
Manigat over to Artino, and McDermott wincing in pain. This has been a difficult first half medically for Creighton. Already Grant Gibbs taken to the locker room with an undisclosed injury, and now McDermott wincing in pain. Because they stopped the game, they're going to have to take McDermott out, I think.
Yeah, and all the result, just take a look when he's right here, as he right there. That's where the contact again. And that's a tough call because it's impeding movement, but at the same time, the defender was in the improper position. McDermott's arm got caught up, and that caused the slight injury there.
Doug McDermott's dad, Greg McDermott, didn't want to take him out of the game. Brooks is bumped. He'll go to the free throw line. The foul on Rick Bosch. So 2 free throws for the junior from New York, Devin Brooks.
Little stinger. Doug McDermott is still trying to work that out a little bit. You can see that he's in pain. And sometimes it's not a big hit, but it's the angle in which you get hit and maybe the position of your arm. And that time, trying to lift it up a little bit, I think it got caught. So hopefully it's just a stinger. He can work it out, in particular going into halftime.
Devin Brooks played at St. Raymond's in the New York City area as a high school player. You see McDermott going to the bench. He's replaced by Avery Dingman, who had a 3-pointer earlier in this first half. Brooks is a junior, but his first go-around as a Division I player. Spent 2 seasons at the junior college level. Tommy Hamilton hadn't played much here in the first half. He's off the bench, and he grabs that rebound. Minute to play, first half. Shot clock down at 10. Garrett loses the handle, ripped away by Manigat. 2-on-1. And the Blue Jays can't score. Missed opportunity. DePaul down by 3. Garrett lost the handle. Oh, but DePaul catches a break. It was last touched by Creighton.
Man, DePaul got let off the hook that time. Chapman should have initially taken the shot. He overpassed, and that time Garrett, not sure if he wanted to continue to go and make the pass, was fortunate to retain possession for DePaul.
Both teams having trouble running that fast break here in the final minute of the first half. Ball's offense has mustered just 4 points in the last 5 minutes and 40 seconds. Young. And a whistle and a timeout called by Creighton. Shot clock is off. 19.5 seconds remaining in the half. And Doug McDermott going to come back in as an offensive threat.
And I'm going to go back to this just a little bit here. But I've talked about patience earlier with DePaul. When things are working well, you want to kind of stay with it. When they get fragmented, you still want to kind of go back to what you were doing well. And that's the issue you have with this DePaul team, is maintaining that kind of consistency of doing the right thing. Even though you may miss shots, let's get back to what we were doing well and not fragment a little bit. And that's what we've seen. They're missing shots, and now they're trying to do things by themselves instead of allowing what got them the lead early on to continue to work for them.
And DePaul still trying to find answers. This is a team that's got seniors. They're playing with Cleveland Melvin and Brandon Young, guys who have started for 4 consecutive years for Oliver Purnell. But they're in the midst of a difficult stretch. They're the only Big East team that's playing 4 games in the first 10 days of the season, including 3 of them on the road.
And this team has talent, but the difficulty is to get 5, 6, 7 guys to understand their roles and how to play together. And once you do that, now as a team, you're more difficult to beat and defend. And sometimes as individuals, if you don't follow that, you beat yourselves.
Ethan Raggi on the floor for the first time in a long while for Creighton. He picked up his 2nd foul early in this first half. McDermott with the bunny. DePaul played great defense, and McDermott was Johnny on the spot for the deuce right before the final horn of the first half. And Creighton, after the injury to Grant Gibbs that sent him to the locker room, they finished the first half on a 13-4 run.
Well, you can't fault the effort that time by DePaul, but it was so many men around the basketball that once Creighton was able to get it, it was an opening inside. And that's the kind of way this half has gone late, that those kind of breaks have favored Creighton.
So momentum on the side of the visitors from Omaha. Creighton in that locker room with a 5-point lead as they try and extend their winning streak to 8 and remain unbeaten in Big East play. After these messages, we will head back to Los Angeles for a Fox College Hoops halftime update with Rob Stone and Austin Crozier. To play our second half, Creighton on top of DePaul by a score of 37-32. Creighton has not been my kind of town for Doug McDermott. He had an off first half with my partner Jim Jackson. I'm Eric Collins. You got to talk about Doug McDermott whenever you got Creighton playing, but he didn't have his normal first half. Only 5 points for the Blue Jays.
5 points, but they're up 5 at halftime if you're Creighton. So you're happy with that. You understood that they're going to try to get the ball out of the hands of Doug McDermott or put him in positions where he's not comfortable. Again, but this young man is patient. He's not going to force the offense, as you see by this next shot. Patiently waiting, and now he's able to knock down a shot. And as we talked about at the end of the half, excellent hustle this time by DePaul. It just so happened that it led to an easy basket inside. But why Creighton has been able to take the lead or going to halftime with the lead? One, you got 9 offensive rebounds for 16 points, but also 15 points coming off the bench. So total team effort when you look at Creighton and why they're ahead in this game by 5 points.
Maybe an issue with that shoulder. We saw him bang shoulders against Peter Rickbosch tail end of that first half, and just a moment ago just trying to get shots off, and you saw the wincing for McDermott. We've been told that the training staff does not believe that Grant Gibbs will be able to play the rest of the game. He landed awkwardly along that baseline in the first half and didn't play the final 10 minutes.
Here's the funny thing about Doug McDermott is you see the shot contested, that even a hurt or ailing McDermott is still a threat on the court.
Garrett misses the jumper. Offensive rebound, McKinney. Loose on the floor still, and Rocky picks it up. It's Creighton basketball. Devin Brooks on the floor right now. He is the man who's getting the bulk of the playing time, replacing Grant Gibbs. Shot up and in, Austin Chapman, his first three-pointer of the game.
An excellent relocation that time by Chapman. The ball went out, but he continued to fade to the corner. And once again, teammates able to locate the open man.
This is the largest lead for either side. Creighton up by 8.
And you see the adjustment by Creighton. Once Melvin got the ball inside, a double team immediately again to get it out of his hands.
Cleveland Melvin had it pushed away from behind by Rogge. It'll stay with DePaul. Shot clock at 7.
And if Melvin is smart, he'll understand the double team is coming. Now be a creator, a facilitator out of the post. Get his teammates some open looks.
Marchuch loses the handle. Someone's going to have to do something. And Marchuch shuffles his shoes. It's a turnover.
Well, that time you put Sandy Marchuch in a tough situation with less than 5 seconds on the clock. Now he has to make a play. And that's where he's not as comfortable. So you want to give it to him in situations, but in that situation, get it to another player that can make a play.
Oliver Purnell takes Marchuch out and replaces him with Greg Sakile. Dating back to the tail end of the first half, DePaul has made just 1 field goal in the last 7.5 minutes. Brandon Young streaking down the floor. It's been a nice turnaround game for Brandon Young. He went 0 for 9 Saturday from the field against Marquette. But he's in double figures early in this second half against Creighton. Points numbers 8 and 9 for McDermott.
Excellent post position early. Doug McDermott did his work early, presented an opening to the baseline. Excellent pass, was able to just to catch and finish inside.
Billy Garrett 3 times. He's been the Big East freshman of the week. A spin along the baseline, and McDermott called for the block on Melvin.
Doing the work early. Underneath inside, Melvin, giving up his position inside, trying to go for a steal. You just have to play solid, okay, with Doug McDermott. You already see that your athleticism is causing Doug to be a little uncomfortable. Don't bail him out.
And a foul going to be called on Maniga, grabbing Brandon Young on his way to the hoop. That's the second foul on Maniga. Ball limping right now. They've lost their first 2 games in Big East play. Desperate for a win here at home. Young inside, blocked away by McDermott. That's history right there. That is the first block shot for Doug McDermott so far this season. But gotta look at it again.
Well, the blocks, he's in proper position. I talked about this team's ability to play pretty good team defense is because you see the shot go up. They're in position all the time on the court.
McDermott tried to save it, tipping it back into the paint, and it's picked up and in and thrown in by McKinney. Inside again, McDermott from the feed of Rogge.
Well, it's a carbon copy of the last play in the post. This time it was on the opposite side of the court, and Melvin again giving up that position, overextending himself, allowing an easy pass inside.
Garrett continues to struggle with that jumper, and we've got a foul going for the rebound on Melvin.
Well, here it is again, post-up position. Now you're going to the high side. Okay, 2 things. 1, you don't have pressure on the passer. Okay, so Garrett, that time, you back up. Now the pass is easy to get inside because even if McDermott is open and you got pressure on that pass, it's not a straight line pass.
Steal by Brandon Young. One of the best in DePaul history in that category. And Young goes coast to coast with a layup. Lead is 6 for Creighton. Just joining us, Creighton playing without Grant Gibbs, who's in the locker room, landed awkwardly along the baseline. Haven't been told exactly what the injury is, but we do not believe he'll come back this evening.
Well, I like the fact that Brandon Young did not commit or give up his dribble. No one was there for Creighton to stop the ball. So smart Brandon Young, being the veteran player he is, he continued with his dribble to attack, was able to finish for a layup.
Last 3 games before Saturday's game, or last 3 games were difficult for Brandon Young, but he's playing a lot better this evening against Creighton. Manigat, how about that? Picked it up off the shoe tops and rips the triple.
Hey, when you can shoot it, all you need is a little space. And that's what Manigat was able to do. Catch and shoot in rhythm, quick trigger.
Last touch by Manigat. It stays with DePaul. Timeout on the floor. Jahens Manigat. Nice offensive night for him. The lead back up to 9, the Blue Jays. Let's take a look at the AT&T impossible feat. Take you back to the 1992 season and the Fab Five. Chris Webber, Jalen Rose, Jimmy King, Ray Jackson, Juwan Howard. A lot of talent, a lot of swagger. The first all-freshman starting 5 to reach the Final Four. They were fun to watch. They didn't win it all, though, but they were fun to watch. With Jim
Fun
Jackson,
to watch by who?
Well,
I was
fun
there.
to play against, probably, too, right?
I mean, you know, that year we beat them twice in the regular season, and we lost to them in the Elite Eight in Kentucky. So fun to watch it's all relative to who you're talking about. For me, it wasn't.
You beat them twice in the regular season, and then you lost in the NCAA.
Well, so it wasn't fun to watch them. That's what I'm saying. They got a chance to go to the Final Four, and we didn't. Now, we're all good friends. We can laugh about it. But it shows you how extremely tough it is to beat a team 3 times. Now, this was a team of young freshmen, but they got better and were a totally different team by the time we faced them in March than they were during the regular season.
I should point out, you averaged 22 points a night that season. Led the Big Ten.
You know, I look back at it, and my coach used to take me out the game, okay? I used to really get upset because 22 was good, but, you know, it was okay.
Yeah, Doug McDermott averages 24.
Well,
he laughs at that 22.
Well, I was unselfish, okay?
Well, so far, Doug McDermott, he's got 11 on 4 of 10 shooting. McDermott coming into this one, 40th all-time in the history of college basketball at the Division I level in scoring. Just an incredible 4-year career. Chapman misses the jumper. Rebounded by Manigat. Dingman is fouled, and he hit the 3. Chance for a 4-point play for Avery. Dingman.
You know, and that's unfortunate for DePaul because they play really good defense in that possession, not able to complete the play with the offensive rebound. And now, as you see, coming in at the last second, McKinney commits the foul.
That's the biggest story. How did Charles McKinney miss the ball? He was all over Dingman, but he missed the ball and got the arm, and it's a 4-point play for Dingman. Lead is 13. DePaul on the ropes. Tommy Hamilton, the 4th, pushed out of position by Dingman, and he steps on the end line. So a turnover gives the ball over to Creighton.
Well, you see the difference between the two teams in regards to execution. When Creighton was down, didn't panic, were able to get back in the game by using offense. DePaul, their biggest strength has been getting steals and getting out in transition, but also getting to the basket. You got away from that.
Oliver Purnell calls it timeout, trying to figure out a way to stop down this freight train, also known as the Creighton Bluejays. Coming up after the game on Fox Sports Live, former Vikings punter Chris Kluwe is in studio. Was he really fired for supporting same-sex marriage? Plus, what he thinks this means for other NFL players with similar beliefs. That's coming up tonight after our game, only on Fox Sports 1. Creighton on top of DePaul, 51-38. It's been a tough night for Doug McDermott. You see he's got that heating pad on the left shoulder. He's playing hurt right now, but they need him. Greg McDermott, his father, normally he's got a steady team. A lot of veterans who've been around and won that. But Grant Gibbs, the 6th-year player, not going to play the rest of the day. He's in the locker room dealing with an injury that we don't know exactly what it is. And just saw Doug McDermott playing hurt. But because of the experience, maybe they can just withhold this DePaul team and hang on to this 13-point lead and get back home to Omaha.
Well, that means that they understand how to weather the storm. Early in the game, they didn't panic. They didn't rush. They continued to do and play Creighton basketball, which got them back in the game. And now that they have the lead, what do? They continue to do the little things that allow them to maintain control of the game. And you can only get that, Eric, is by having experience.
McDermott has the ball ripped away by McDonald. Garrett's had a real tough night. Hadn't hit a shot from the field. He is now 0 for 8. Cleveland Melvin spins over the double team and scores off the window. Senior on freshman there. McDermott with the half hook. Wow. That's a big-time shot.
But big-time shot, and he saw the crab dribble when he went to the middle of the lane. He saw Melvin coming. Immediately, he knew exactly where he was on the court in range for that little jump hook.
McDermott's made his last 4 shots in the field. All of a sudden, he's starting to have an impressive offensive game after struggling through the first 15 minutes of play.
And you notice now DePaul, 1 shot. Rebound for Creighton. Now they come back down, work the clock a little bit, get the kind of shot they want.
Foul on McDonald trying to keep Manigat away from the rim.
Keep your eye here, okay? He knows he has a mismatch. One dribble, he sees a double team, immediately back to the baseline. Experience, understanding how to play the game, okay? Not going to force the situation, surveying the field, so to speak, but he knew he wanted to get back to the baseline, to the jump line. Patience.
Two free throws here for the man whose nickname is Canadian Red Bull. Jahens Manigat, senior from Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. How about this? I don't know if you ever could make the statement, Jim Jackson. Each of the last 3 seasons, he has led his team in charges taken.
No, not at all. No. We used to have charge drills, at times, and I took them now, but I wasn't an advocate of always taking them, put it that way.
Hey, you got to live to fight another day, man. You got to stay healthy.
Sometimes I took charges just because I was there. It wasn't really meant to be. That wasn't my forte. The thing is, KYP, I say that all the time.
Know your personnel.
Yeah, and I knew who I was, okay? I knew that wasn't a part of the forte. I learned it a little bit later when I played for Pat Riley, though, I'll tell you that.
McDonald inside forces one up, can't hit it, and a foul going for the rebound called on DePaul.
And once again, you see DePaul. You get fragmented. You begin to get frustrated because you don't see the ball going in. And what happens with a young team, in particular in the backcourt or something, is that you try to do it yourself as an individual. And against this well-schooled and deliberate but also patient and disciplined Creighton team, it's not going to be that easy.
You just saw the 4 fouls on Darrell McDonald. He goes to the bench, replaced by R.J. Currington. With Currington coming into the game, that means that DePaul has now gone 12 deep in this game. And look at this. This is no longer a heating pad. It's now ice on the shoulder of McDermott. DePaul running. Young inside, scores. He looks awkward sometimes in transition, but generally gets the ball to fall.
Well, this DePaul team is doing an excellent job getting out in transition, but they're few and far in between when they're able to do it. And they have the athletes, they have the guards that can get it done, but then you come right back and you give up a basket. So you're never getting back in the game because you're trading 2s for 2s or 2s for 3. And you have to be able to get consistent and consecutive defensive stops.
Will Artino has 9 points off the bench for Creighton. He has made 4 out of 5 shots. Ball showing some patience. Results, and Garrett getting inside and missing the short runner. And another foul in the backcourt. The fouls picking up for DePaul. Creighton has made it into the bonus. Artino, the lefty from Iowa, with 9 points off the bench. Hoops presentation of Big East basketball brought to you by New York Life Insurance Company. We're in Chicago, Illinois, All-State Arena. Now the 34th year that this venue has been home to DePaul Blue Demons basketball. Ball taken on Creighton for the first time since Creighton joining the Big East. Right now, DePaul in trouble. They're in danger of falling to 0-3 in conference play. Creighton continuing to play without Doug McDermott. McDermott averaging close to 25 points per night, but he's got an issue with his shoulder. We've seen heat, we've seen ice, and right now he's got nothing on it, but he's not in the game.
But keep in mind, that's the beauty of the way this team is structured and built. We know he's the All-American. We know he's the front runner maybe for Player of the Year, but the team is not built around him in regards to he has to carry the team. Raggy, Gibbs, Chapman, Brooks, Manigat, they all have a role and they contribute, and that's why they're such a tough team to beat, because it's not just centered around one play.
Shot missed by Currington. That's his game. Long-range shooter off the bench for DePaul.
But excellent box out, bodies on bodies inside, one shot. Now Creighton gets the ball. Now they're going to work their offense.
Backdoor cut, and Dingman hits the deck hard. He's fouled by Young.
Well, defensive discipline for a team that's struggling at times, okay? Pay attention to where you're at. Somebody has to talk. That time, Melvin has to say, screen. At least help just a little bit to knock him off balance again. Get pressure on the passer. So it's not one thing that contributes to why, or that's not Melvin that was in the, or it was Melvin that was in the game. It's not one thing that contributes to the backdoor play being open. It's multiple things in the breakdown of the defense that allows you to get an easy basket inside.
Isaiah Zierden replaces Dingman on the floor now for the Blue Jays. Creighton playing without both Doug McDermott and Grant Gibbs. Don't expect to see Gibbs back into this game. Went to the locker room after hitting the deck hard in the first half.
And see right there, because Garrett hasn't knocked down a jump shot, he was hesitant even though he had a rhythm jump shot in the corner.
Again, Garrett reluctant to shoot from deep. Got inside and lost it. And we've got a foul called on DePaul.
Well, that's what happens because you don't have confidence in your jump shot. The tendency now is to get the ball closer to the basket. And that occasion, Garrett leaves his feet. Now you're susceptible to the charge. Instead of being confident enough because you haven't made the shot to take the shot that's available, and as a young player, you make the game a little bit more difficult than it has to be.
We talked a lot about Greg McDermott and his son Doug McDermott. You just saw a shot of Billy Garrett, senior. He is an assistant coach for Oliver Purnell, and he has a chance to work with his son, Billy Garrett Jr., one of the most ballyhooed freshmen in the conference.
But he's going to be a good one. And this is all a really good learning opportunity for Garrett as a young freshman to go through a little bit of adversity and deal with it. Because in the long run, he's going to be a very, very good player for this DePaul team.
Shot clock down to 2, and Rocky almost hit it off the window from 28 feet. Creighton can afford small mistakes. There's just 10 minutes remaining in this one, and they've got a 15-point lead on the road. Cleveland Melvin is fouled as he goes for the offensive rebound. That's the first foul in a long time on Raggi, but it's his third. They're going to give 2 free throws for Cleveland Melvin. Mass substitutions for DePaul. McDonald comes into the game along with McKinney. For Creighton, Rogge goes to the bench with his 3 fouls. He's replaced by Will Artino. Combination of seniors, Melvin and Young, have 30 of DePaul's 43 points. The seniors have done their job. Now they just need some help. Melvin's going to get a blow, replaced by Greg Sakile. Now for the first time we've got pressure in the backcourt applied by DePaul. McDermott, long 2. Going for the rebound, fouled is Will Artino.
Well, that time, excellent job by Creighton handling and then breaking the press. Artino positioning himself and anchoring himself in the paint inside position. So when the shot goes up, he may not be athletic and jump out the gym, but he uses his body well in order to get an offensive rebound.
Artino, one of 5 different players from the state of Iowa to suit up on this year's Creighton team. They've had good success over the years with Iowans. Kyle Porter from Pella, Iowa. McDonald, rainbow 3 is good. Ball down by 11 now. And they've got the basketball.
Well, here's the thing you got to do. If you're DePaul, the key is you score so you can set the press. But you can't allow one person with the dribble to beat your press. Because that way, that time, Manigat bailed you out a little bit because he had a shot he could have made. If you're going to score and press, you have to contain the dribble.
Hamilton, Sakile, McDonald, Young, and McKinney, the 5 on the floor for DePaul. McKinney's bumped at the elbow. That foul called on Zierden. Zierden goes to the bench, replaced by Dingman. That's team foul number 5 for Creighton. So 2 more, and DePaul's in the bonus. Creighton already in the bonus due to the 7 fouls committed by DePaul. Hamilton hangs and hits. Chance for the 3-point play, and DePaul with life.
And actually, that was an excellent catch inside by Hamilton because where he wanted to receive the ball was in his left hand. But he was able to readjust, gather, and with contact, finish.
No one's happier to see that than Oliver Purnell. He really believes that Tommy Hamilton has a chance to be special, but wants him to commit both on the practice court and trying to get position and use that great body of his inside. 3-point play, and DePaul within 8.
You know, and the easiest things to say, well, why doesn't a young man is able to concentrate all the time? Well, the answer is because he's a young man. He's 18, 19 years old. It's a lot of things going on. So a lot of little things can affect why he's not as consistent. But when he's good, he's pretty good for this DePaul team.
And a foul is going to be called on Brandon Young, trying to keep Greg McDermott. Check that, Doug McDermott.
Well, Greg is already out, so he's on the sideline. You don't have to worry about him. If they get him the ball is out of bounds.
So the double bonus for Creighton, 2 free throws for one of the best free throwers in the history of college basketball. That free throw ends an 8-1 run for DePaul. Slowly but surely, McDermott's getting his. 2 free throws gives him 15 points on the night. Wild shot by Young, rebounded by Dingman. With the 15 points tonight, McDermott now up to 2,577 points in his college career. Misses inside, and McDermott slow to get up. It's been a difficult night for him physically. Three-pointer, Hamilton got it!
Big fella, the second one of the evening. A lot of fights still left in this DePaul team. Can you get another stop and allow yourself to cut into this lead a little bit more?
Creighton's lead is 7, make it 9. Good quick spin and finish by McDermott.
But the passing is too easy right now. You're not getting into pressure. So McDermott, that's open for a split second, the ball is going to be received because you don't apply the kind of pressure on the perimeter. You don't give your guys inside a chance to play good defense if you don't put pressure on the ball.
Young goes one-on-one. Draws the foul, and he scores! Chance for the three-point play. Oh, both sides really getting after it now. It's a battle of seniors for Creighton. McDermott scores inside, but the senior from DePaul, Brandon Young, answers. A new season of The Ultimate Fighter is coming to Fox Sports 1 this month as fighters from Australia and Canada go head-to-head with national pride and a UFC contract on the line. The Ultimate Fighter Nations, Australia versus Canada, premieres January 15th, only on Fox Sports 1. Pretty good fighter right there. And Doug McDermott and the Creighton Bluejays up by 7, in large part because of the way that McDermott able to gut things out here in the second half.
Well, he's gutting it out, but he's being patient. He's allowing himself to be in a position that he doesn't have to work as hard to get his shots. Moving without the basketball, getting proper position early on, where now he can just catch and shoot or catch and finish. It's a lot easier to be efficient that way instead of trying to break down and beat a double team.
If Doug McDermott's the first-team All-American this year, which almost assuredly he will be, he'll be the first to get that done 3 times since Wayman Tisdale and Patrick Ewing did it back in the mid-'80s. Pressure in the backcourt applied by DePaul. Creighton able to break it, but just barely.
Think about it. Just DePaul has gotten back in this game in a couple areas. One, in transition, 10 points.
Dingman, wow, with the finish. Pretty finger roll along the baseline.
That time the rotation on the baseline just not there quick enough to deny Dingman the layup.
DePaul has scored on 5 of their last 6 trips down the floor. Maybe the final frontier is getting Billy Garrett going. Hamilton. Shot clock doesn't reset. It's down to 8. Someone's going to have to fire. McKinney. Run down by Sekile. Fresh shot clock for the Blue Demons.
Reset the offense. Take your time. Run a play. You have a chance right now to cut into the lead again by getting it to 6 points or maybe 5.
Main offensive weapon right now appears to be Hamilton. They're trying to get it to him. They can't. And with both Brandon Young and Cleveland Melvin on the bench, you wonder where the offense is going to come from. Maybe Garrett. No. Jumper rims out. He continues his scoreless night. He's 0 for 10 from the field. You got to wonder how long Oliver Purnell can keep both Brandon Young and Cleveland Melvin on the bench.
Well, Brandon Young is at the scorer's table, as you see right now.
Rocky hits the 3.
What happens? A veteran team takes advantage of the situation. You miss, you shoot a long shot, you don't convert. Come right back at you.
Charles McKinney has not made a three-pointer all year, yet he's taken a three-pointer each of the last 2 times down the floor.
Well, in that occasion, a power dribble, 1-2 rhythm dribble, step inside the line and take a 2-pointer if it's available to you. Okay, Creighton wants you to take that shot. They love for you. They're baiting you to take the shot. Don't play into it. Again, that's the difference in the mentality of the two teams.
Ethan Wragge, they want him to shoot as many threes as possible. Greg McDermott believes in the three-point shot. This is a team that fires it up at a historic pace and makes it at a historic pace. Chapman shooting 2 free throws, makes the first. Now DePaul going to bring back their 2 senior offensive weapons, Young and Melvin, on the floor.
And Coach Purnell is talking to his guards, get the ball up quick. Okay, let's see if we can get something, but then run our offense in a rhythm where it's moving, it's clicking. Now we can exploit the defense. But if you walk the ball up the court, now Creighton's defense is able to set, and they're a much better defensive team when they're in their spots than if they're spread out.
So after that run by DePaul, it's answered by Creighton. They're back up by 13. It's a 6-0 run. Hamilton sees the double team, finds Young, who gets it to fall.
And the movement was there. That time the ball went from side to side, in, out. You cut down the middle of the lane, and now you have an opportunity to score.
Loose on the floor. Everyone wants it. Look at that scrum. An alternate possession arrow favors DePaul.
When you think about it, you break down the defense not on the first pass or the second. It usually comes the 4th, 5th, 6th pass. That's when you can get those kind of shots, and that time the patience was there. But look at the all-out hustle by both teams.
Tommy Hamilton has played inspired basketball here in the second half. This is a guy who has not started each of the last 2 games after starting for the large part of the season. Oliver Purnell saying, you know what? You got to earn it around here. So Tommy Hamilton didn't start today, didn't start against Marquette, but he's playing with some fire here in the second half now.
Well, maybe it's clicked for him in regards to what he has to do and what his role on his team is. Tough pass.
McDermott hadn't touched the ball in a while for the Blue Jays. Here it is, McDermott with the touch, senior on senior. Melvin guarding him. On the lefty hook, missed, but tapped up and in beautifully by Dingman.
And Dingman taking advantage of the freshman, Garrett, not blocking out.
How about Avery Dingman? The kid from Branson, Missouri has been a showstopper.
Doug McDermott now able to get to the middle of the lane. You help with Brandon Young. That means you're short under the rim as far as one defensive player. But that time, you know, it's when you need a possession, you need to get the rebound. Garrett that time got caught looking a little bit. Halfway put his body on a bigger, stronger, more physical and experienced player. Dingman able to sneak inside and get an easy 2.
So DePaul in trouble because of the bench work of Creighton. They had 27 bench points. DePaul find themselves down by 13 with just a whisker over 4 minutes remaining. You do not want to fall to 0-3 in Big East play right out of the chute. And the next game for DePaul, no picnic. They're on the road in less than 48 hours down in Indy against Butler.
That's a game that I'll be on. So I mean, you have 4 minutes left in this game. I mean, what can you do to get yourself back, to get yourself into, and right there, out of bounds, executed the play very well. Now you have to get a stop. You want to stop without fouling.
Almost a turnover, but the veteran Blue Jays keep the ball.
And watch how Creighton uses the shot clock to their advantage.
McDermott along the baseline. Again, working against Melvin. That's been the matchup all night. Wragge. When you've got McDermott down low and you got a weapon like Wragge out on the wing, that's exactly what you want.
Well, and it's tough because you know the scouting report as far as Wragge being able to shoot. Okay? And so Hamilton is playing in between. So either you're going to go or you're not. but you want to stay close and not being able to do it, what do? You have the All-American on the post. You help just a little bit. Rocky just needs a little bit of space. Knocks it down. Creighton 74, DePaul 60.
After the game on Fox Sports Live, Chris Kluwe joins us in studio to discuss why he believes his views on same-sex marriage cost him his job.
That is tonight on Fox Sports Live after the game, only on Fox Sports 1. Eric, Jim, it's all yours.
We appreciate it so much here in Chicago. We still got 3:18 before we toss it over to Fox Sports Live. It has been a heck of a night for Creighton. They've had some difficult times. Grant Gibbs leaving the game in the first half with an undisclosed injury has not come back. Doug McDermott dealing with a shoulder issue. He has been able to play the bulk of the game. He has not been comfortable. But Creighton trying to get to 3-0 in conference play. They've got a 13-point lead, closing in on the 3-minute mark.
And we touched a little bit on the veteran leadership, the experience. You talk about coming into a new conference against a higher level of competition. What a luxury it is to have, as we see.
Oh my God.
And I got him. I caught him right here. You all right, baby? All right. See how quick I was? Mid-sentence, I was able to still catch Brandon Young without even flinching. You know?
That's some high level.
You know, that's high level stuff. See, I don't see. Just watch me right there, right there. See how I caught him right there? And I saved the monitor.
Goodness.
See?
The company saves you. The company thanks you.
I'm just saying, you know, the reflexes just don't leave. I may be a little bit older, a little bit slower, but the reflexes are still there.
We'll ask you to take a jump shot in a moment.
I can do that. I'm not playing defense. But what I was saying, think about it. Let's see if they score here.
The defense whacked away by Melvin, and they called McDermott on the foul trying to get the ball back.
That was excellent recovery that time by Melvin, not giving up on the play. It looked like it was going to be an easy layup inside. Again, the position, but the recovery was there, then the reach-in foul. But to finish my point about Creighton, you come into a league now, but you have experience. So that allows you now to kind of blend in and figure it out. Okay, if they're able to pull out this game, you think about it, now you're able to start 3-0 in a new conference. That speaks volumes as to where you're at as a program. Speaking of Creighton.
Creighton last year winning the regular season and the Missouri Valley Conference tournament title. Good as Wichita State was a year ago. Creighton was better. Wraparound pass of beauty. Chapman finds the streaking Dingman. Maybe the prettiest play of the night for either side. 16 points now for Dingman. And DePaul running out of time.
Yeah, another good block out that time by Raggy inside, but understanding your role on a team. Chapman knows exactly what he needs to do. He needs to create plays, take care of the basketball, play solid defense. That's his job as the point guard on this basketball team.
Chapman playing keep away up high. Skip pass. Now they'll try the other side of the floor. Rocky, his fourth three-pointer of the night, and that should just about do it. DePaul calls a timeout, but they may be done. Creighton Bluejays coming here to Chicago, and they have a 17-point lead with 96 seconds left.
Oh, look at the court awareness, the ability to get the ball. And right here, this play, at the end, you see Raggy knocking it down, but it started because McDermott was on the opposite block, and they wanted to lob it inside. The whole defense shifted over. The skip pass took place. You dump it inside, back out, and get a shot. So it started because of the threat of McDermott getting the ball at the beginning, but got it on the back end, which opened up the inside out. See, that's what you have when you have a player that's multi-dimensional, that can score from multiple areas like a Doug McDermott. He forces the defense to pay attention. Even if he didn't touch it, the defense had to shift over, which opened up the cross-court pass.
Don't go anywhere, folks. When this one draws to a close, we've got Fox Sports Live coming your way. Former Vikings punter Chris Kluwe is going to be in the studio. Just a A real interesting story. He believes he was fired for supporting same-sex marriage. It's a significant issue. It'll be discussed at length tonight. Fox Sports Live coming your way. That's next on Fox Sports 1. Next up for Creighton, they're going to be home on Sunday against Xavier. While DePaul, they've got to go back on the road. They'll take on the Butler Bulldogs. That game's on Thursday. DePaul hasn't seen Butler since February of 1981. What has changed in the world of college basketball since they last played? Under a minute to play. Shot clock down to 2. And another block from Melvin. McDermott is fouled right before the shot clock expired.
Dingman.
Our Land Rover player of the game, Avery Dingman.
But doing the little things. It's not about whether a coach runs plays for you, but it's understanding where your place is in the offense and doing your job. And Dingman is a prime example of allowing the offense to be his friend, to be his ally. That way you can be more consistent, but more importantly, more efficient.
Player of the game, Avery Dingman, off the bench with a career high 16 points. That's actually just 1 point fewer than Doug McDermott. 11 of those 16 points coming here at winning time in the second half. The junior from Branson, Missouri, he came in averaging 2.2 points per game.
You never know. I mean, that's the beauty about this game, is that game in and game out, it can be somebody else that can step up. In particular, when you have a system like Creighton, when you have players that are willing and unselfish to share the basketball. Okay, now you have, you talk about wealth distribution a lot of times. Well, you have shot distribution here in Creighton. It doesn't matter who's getting the points, they're going to share and spread the wealth.
Now, not much changes when you talk about Blue Jay basketball. They have had at least 20 wins in 14 of the last 15 seasons. Only 9 schools in the country can make that statement. 6 straight seasons, they've had at least 1 postseason win. One of 5 schools that have done that. And of course, they were dominant in the Missouri Valley Conference for so many years. Now trying to keep that dominance going in the Big East.
Well, why not? If you look at the state of where the Big East is right now, a couple of the teams, Marquette, St. John's, were supposed to be your marquee teams near the beginning of the season. They've struggled. So Creighton is right there in position to kind of be the team to beat in the Big East. Okay, Xavier is playing excellent basketball. Villanova, of course, is there now. Okay, so you look at Villanova and Creighton, those are the teams that you're kind of shooting for right now. It'll be interesting to see if Marquette and St. John's can kind of get their mojo back, so to speak, and be the kind of teams that everyone thought they would be.
McDermott will shoot 2. He has not missed a free throw tonight. With that free throw, that's his first point in the last 7 minutes. So winning time, first point in the last 7 minutes, but it just shows you how the others at Creighton understand their roles and are able to step up when needed. So McDermott's done. He checks out with 19 points, a hard-fought 19 points on 6 of 16 shooting. And he's going to get some treatment, you'd imagine. He was dealing with a shoulder injury all game long after getting whacked in the first half.
This team reminds me of that Butler team that made it to back-to-back Final Four. Because you have a team full of veterans. You have a guy that you're going to focus on. But
Gordon Hayward.
But you have complementary players that understand their role, and they do it well. Very well. And it's hard to beat a team like that when they play consistent and they stay within the framework of their system.
Well, the big question of the next couple of days, what about Grant Gibbs? Didn't see him at all in the second half. There's some concerns about his health. Hopefully he is going to be okay. So this one's going to go the way of the Blue Jays. They come to Chicago and they win it going away. A 19-point win for the Creighton Blue Jays. And they're now 3-0 in Big East play. DePaul still looking for their first win in conference. They fall to 0-3. They've got to regroup in a hurry. They've got Butler in Indianapolis on Thursday. All right, so that's going to do it from the Allstate Arena in Rosemont, Illinois. Creighton, they win 81-62. For Jim Jackson, I'm Eric Collins saying so long. Now let's head to L.A. for Fox Sports Live.
Fox Sports Live, indeed. Creighton DePaul just went final, and that just won several huge games on the docket on Tuesday. Look at all those games, guys. We will head back to Chicago for an exclusive interview with All-American Doug McDermott about the big win against DePaul. We have got you covered here on Fox Sports Live. I'm Carissa Thompson alongside Donovan McNabb, Ephraim Salom, Gabe Kapler back with us, talk a little Hall of Fame. Also check out his article on foxsports.com. And we got good old GP. GP. And guess what, everybody? Guess who else will be here? Will Leach and Chris Cluey, who will discuss his article that's the most talked about story right now in sports. But first, Jay and Dan got a haircut.
Oh, wow. Big time.
It's like we got the band back together.
Yes. Finally.
Donovan plays the tuba.
The worst band in the world. Thanks very much, Carissa. Hi, everyone. We're fading sex symbols, Jay, on Right and Dan on Twitter.
And this is Creighton looking for their 8th straight win. Doug McDermott held scoreless until he buries a 3. DePaul up 4. Brandon Young can't finish. DeJuan Morero and Grant Gibbs go for a rebound. Morero called for the foul. Gibbs, he's in pain. Why? Because his right foot got caught on Morero as he falls, immediately clings to his right knee, headed to the room, did not return. Creighton up 2. Want you to watch McDermott. Comes off the screen. He gets tangled up and reaches for his left shoulder. Preseason Big East Player of the Year. Got checked out, but did return. 10 seconds to go in the half. Devin Brooks loses the handle, able to find McDermott. Lay in as time expires. McDermott, he's obvious pain. Blue Jays up 5 at the break. Second half, Avery Dingman, top of the arc, drains a 3. Blue Jays starting to roll. All Creighton in this one. McDermott looking fine, moves without the ball, quickly lays it in. As Creighton victorious, Jim Jackson with McDermott in a second. I got ahead of myself. McDermott, 19 points for the Blue Jays. So let's see how that shoulder is as he talks to Jim.
Thanks a lot. Doug, welcome to the Big East. A tough physical game. Just a little status update on your shoulder.
You know, just kind of minor injury. I think I just ran into a guy. We'll get it checked out after the game, but I think I'll be fine.
How much does it help you that you have the experience and the teammates that you have? You know the defense is going to focus in on you, yet and still you're able to be patient, and your teammates stepped up big time.
You know, we're a team. You know, we all hang out off the floor. We know each other's games top to bottom, and there's so many guys that are capable of stepping up. You saw Avery Dingman when Grant went down. We're a big group of good guys, and we work really well together.
3-0 in the Big East right now. First time you're in the conference. Any big adjustments? Anything that surprised you so far?
It's physical. I mean, we saw that tonight. They're going to let you play in this conference, and we're going to have to adjust to that. But great start, 3-0. Now we got to go home for a couple and 2 really big games. We're going to need our fans.
All right, thanks a lot. Go get some ice on the shoulder. All right.